Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something we all probably think about a lot more than we'd like to admit, the streaming wars.
Yeah, it's way more than just choosing what to watch tonight. We're talking about a complete shift, like a total reshaping of how we consume entertainment.
Exactly.
Yep.
Think about it. We've got Netflix, HBO Max, well, just Max now, right? And Disney Plus are all battling it out for our eyeballs. And you know what's fascinating to me?
With that?
They all came from completely different corners of the entertainment world. I mean, Netflix, remember?
Uh-huh.
They started as a DVD, like mail order service back in '97. Hard to imagine now, right?
Totally. I mean, they were mailing out DVDs before most people even had decent internet.
I know. Talk about ahead of the time, but that's kind of the key, isn't it? They were the first ones to really get this whole streaming thing, gave them a massive advantage.
Absolutely. It was 2007 when they really started pushing streaming, way before anyone else.
And then they just kept innovating. They started making their own shows, and boom, House of Cards changed the game, and Stranger Things. I mean, that was a cultural phenomenon,
It's huge. Those early originals were so crucial. It showed they weren't just a place to watch stuff other people made. They were actually creating the big hits themselves.
right? And now, global powerhouse. Over 190 countries, a library so big, it feels like they're trying to have something for everyone.
Yeah, and that global reach, it's a huge advantage. Constantly on the hunt for stories that can work anywhere, like Squid Game. Nobody could have predicted that a South Korean drama would be a global smash hit.
I know. Okay, so you've got Netflix coming from this tech early adopter angle, but then you have HBO Max, or Max Now, and they took a totally different approach. They were already known for, well, quality, like prestige TV, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, all that.
Right. HBO Max was smart. They leveraged that existing reputation. They didn't have to build trust from scratch, just needed to adapt it for streaming.
Yeah.
Add in Warner Bros. Films, DC Universe shows, even Studio Ghibli, and suddenly they've got this curated library with a very specific appeal.
So it's that prestige TV vibe, but with big budget movies thrown in. Smart move.
Definitely targeting a certain kind of viewer. They're not trying to be everything to everyone. They're going after the audience that values a certain kind of storytelling and production.
And then there's the behemoth, Disney Plus bang.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about arriving with a bang. 2019, they just land with arguably the most powerful catalog of beloved content out there.
Oh, yeah. Disney Plus understood two things: nostalgia and families. They knew exactly how to use both.
Right. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, National Geographic, it's all there. Especially during the pandemic, it was a no-brainer for families.
Timing was perfect, honestly. Everyone was stuck at home, craving comfort and escape. And that's exactly what Disney provides. Plus, they get fandom. Like, they know how to make their shows events, things people actually talk about and anticipate.
True. I know people who plan their weeks around those new episodes of Marvel shows, Star Wars, all that. But, speaking of content, that's where the real battle is.
Right.
Each of these platforms has a totally different strategy. Like we were saying, Netflix, it's all about volume. They pump out so much original content, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, it's that whole quantity over quality debate, right? They get criticism for it, but it lets them take risks. Try different things, different genres, see what sticks.
It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Right.
And sometimes you get those unexpected global hits, like Squid Game. Who could have predicted that?
Nobody. But that willingness to just try things, it's paid off for them.
Then you contrast that with HBO Max. They've always been about that curated experience, quality over quantity, and it's working. Shows like Succession, The Last of Us, they're not afraid to get complex.
It's that HBO brand, right? Meticulous stories, complicated characters, top-notch production. They attract a certain kind of audience, people who really appreciate that level of depth.
And you know what? They're starting to play the blockbuster game too. Like same-day streaming for big movies like Barbie and Dune Part 2. That's new for them.
It's a smart way to broaden their appeal without losing what makes them unique. Combine that reputation for quality with, well, big movies that everyone wants to see.
And then there's Disney Plus Foop, which basically leverages those iconic franchises they have, right? Marvel, Star Wars, their classic animated films. It's like their whole empire is built right into the streaming experience.
Exactly. They've made streaming a core part of their whole system, and they get how to use serialized storytelling to keep people hooked. New Mandalorian episode, WandaVision, they become these events that people can't wait for.
Okay, so we've talked about where they came from, how they approach content, but let's be real. This battle isn't just about great stories, it's about money too. How are these platforms competing for our subscription dollars? And who's winning? Let's dig into that after a quick break.
Welcome back. So we've seen how these streaming giants are playing to their strengths, but now let's get down to brass tacks. How are they all fighting for our subscription dollars?
Right, because making awesome content is only half the battle, right? They've got to convince us to actually pay for it. And they're all doing it a little differently.
It's wild, isn't it? They're all trying to find that sweet spot, make it affordable, profitable, and, make it feel like we're getting our money's worth.
Totally. So let's start with Netflix. They've always been good about having different plans, right? Want the budget-friendly option with ads? No problem. Want the full 4K experience? They got you covered.
That flexibility has been huge for them, I think. It's opened up streaming to a wider audience. Students on a budget, families who want the best picture, everyone.
But lately, they've also been making some waves with that whole password sharing crackdown. I know it's been a little controversial, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a tough one. For years, everyone was sharing passwords. It was almost like a built-in feature of streaming. But now, with competition heating up, platforms are looking for every dollar, and shared accounts are a big target.
It's that tension, isn't it? Keeping subscribers happy versus keeping shareholders happy. Can they pull it off? I guess we'll see.
Now, HBO Max, or just Max now, right? They started out as this premium service, high price tag to match. They were going after a certain audience, people who are willing to pay more for that curated experience.
Right. It was all about banking on that reputation for quality, justifying the higher price. But they've kind of shifted gears lately, haven't they? Cheaper ad-supported plans, trying to broaden their appeal.
I think it's a sign of the times. They're feeling the pressure from Netflix, Disney Plus, all the competition. Got to appeal to a wider audience if you want to stay in the game.
It'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure. Can they hold on to that prestige image while also competing on price? We'll see.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance. Attract new viewers without losing the ones who are already there, the ones used to a certain level of quality.
Meanwhile, Disney Plus has been steadily raising its price since it launched. But they've been smart about it. All those bundles, right? Hulu, ESPN Plus, all in one package.
Bundles are a game changer, especially for families. It's like a one-stop shop, right? Kids shows, adult dramas, live sports, it's all there.
It's almost like the cable package for the streaming age.
Exactly. Except we actually get to choose what we want, and it
Yeah.
gives them a leg up when it comes to value.
Yeah.
Lots of content for a single price that's a pretty attractive deal.
Speaking of competition, let's talk global domination. Netflix, like we said earlier, huge global subscriber base. They've figured out how to make content that works everywhere.
They've put a ton of money into international productions, and it's paid off. Squid Game, Money Heist, those are just two examples of international hits that went mega global.
They're always looking for those stories that connect with everyone, regardless of culture.
It's not just about finding them, though. It's about understanding the nuances of different cultures and adapting things accordingly. Netflix has built these teams all around the world, people who get those local nuances.
HBO Max, on the other hand, they've been expanding internationally, but it's been slower. They seem to be banking on their reputation, that high-quality programming, to draw people in.
It's different, but it could work. Quality storytelling, those sophisticated narratives, that stuff tends to resonate with people no matter where they're from.
And shows like The Last of Us, which came from a video game that's globally popular, shows they can do global hits too.
Yeah, smart to use things that already have a built-in fan base, right? Gives you an audience from day one.
And then there's Disney Plus. Advantage right out of the gate. Globally recognized brand, beloved characters, stories everyone knows.
Especially for families, that content works internationally. Parents everywhere want good stuff for their kids, and Disney. It's safe, familiar, it just works.
So each platform's tackling the global scene in its own way, using its own strengths to get viewers. It's a pretty interesting race to watch, wouldn't you say?
For sure, the stakes are high. Streaming's changing all the time, and only the ones who can adapt are going to make it.
Talking about adapting, let's look at some recent wins and challenges these streaming giants have had. Netflix, despite all the competition, keeps putting out hits, like that live-action One Piece from the anime. Shows there's still a force to be reckoned with.
And they're not slowing down, trying new formats, new genres, even dipping their toes into gaming and live events. Like, they're blurring the lines between different kinds of entertainment.
Almost like they're trying to be that one-stop shop for everything.
Exactly. They're not just streaming anymore, they're a full-on entertainment company now.
HBO Max, well, they had a huge win with The Last of Us, but that whole merger with Discovery, it's made things a little uncertain, hasn't it?
Mergers always shake things up. We'll have to wait and see how HBO Max's identity changes within this new company. Will they stick with the quality focus, keep expanding globally? Lots of questions.
It's a big moment for them. Got to navigate this carefully if they want to keep succeeding.
Absolutely. And then there's Disney Plus, still going strong with those Marvel and Star Wars franchises. Fans are eating it up.
Yeah, they're really leaning into those, making new shows, expanding those worlds.
But they're also branching out, trying to get a wider audience. Through Hulu, which is part of that bundle, they're going after more mature content, trying to reach those folks who maybe aren't into superheroes and spaceships.
Smart move. Got to have something for everyone if you want to stay competitive.
For sure. And they're not afraid to experiment, trying new things, pushing the boundaries of what streaming can be.
So the streaming landscape is like this, constantly changing thing. Each platform has its own strengths, weaknesses, and its own path to success.
It's a battle for our attention and our wallets, and it's not slowing down anytime soon.
But at the end of the day, the real winner in all of this, it's us, the viewers. More choices, more control, more amazing content than ever before.
That's a great way to put it. We've come a long way from those DVD mailers to this massive world of streaming, and it all happened so fast.
It really did. And it's just the beginning. Who knows what's next? What new stuff will they come up with?
That's what makes it so exciting. We're living through this, total transformation of how we entertain ourselves. It's wild.
It really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's think about what the future holds. What's next for streaming? And what does it mean for us? What do you think?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? It's tough to predict the future, but there are definitely some signs, some trends emerging that can give us a clue.
Okay, I'm all ears. What trends are you seeing out there?
Well, it's that million-dollar question, right? Who knows what the future holds? But we can look for clues. There are definitely some trends out there that might give us a hint.
Okay, yeah, give me some hints. What trends are you seeing?
Well, for one, I think we might see even more of the smaller streaming services. The ones that aren't these big giants. They might struggle to keep up. So we could see more mergers, acquisitions, that sort of thing.
Oh, interesting. So fewer choices overall, but maybe bigger, more comprehensive platforms.
Yeah, that's one possibility. Instead of having a dozen different subscriptions, you might just need 2 or 3 to get access to pretty much everything.
Huh. That could be good or bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Depends on how it all shakes out. What else? What other trends are you noticing?
Well, on the flip side, we might also see a rise in those really niche streaming services, the ones that focus on super specific interests, like just anime or documentaries or independent films, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. As the whole streaming world gets bigger, there's going to be room for those more specialized options. People want that stuff that really speaks to their passions.
Exactly. And those niche services, they can really cultivate a loyal audience, provide that carefully selected content you won't find anywhere else.
Okay, so maybe we'll see some consolidation at the top, more specialization on the edges. What about the technology itself? Think there are any big changes coming there?
Oh, for sure. One thing I'm really excited about is this idea of streaming becoming even more integrated with other kinds of entertainment, like gaming, live events, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Netflix is already playing around with that, and it seems to be working.
Right. They've got those interactive shows where viewers get to make choices that affect the story. They're even adding gaming elements into some of their stuff.
So the future of streaming, maybe it's less about just sitting back and watching and more about actually participating.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those walls between different forms of entertainment, making it more immersive, more engaging for us, the viewers.
I like it. But with all this content, all these platforms, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes, isn't it? How do we even choose? What makes one platform better than the others?
That's where you, the viewer, really have all the power. You get to decide what's important to you. Quantity over quality, huge library versus original content, low price, or a really smooth user experience. It's up to you.
It really is like this massive buffet of entertainment, and we get to pick and choose what we want. No more cable packages, no more network schedules. It's all on our terms.
Exactly. And the platforms that do well, they're going to be the ones that really understand what people want and give it to them. They got to listen to their audience, provide the content, the features, all of it.
So while the streaming wars are going on, the real winner is us, the viewers.
100%. We've got more choices, more control, more awesome content than ever before. It really is a great time to be into movies and TV and all that.
It really is. And to think, It all started with those little red envelopes in the mail.
Crazy, right? From DVDs to this whole universe of streaming, all in just a few decades.
It's been a wild ride, and it feels like we're just getting started. Who knows what's next?
That's the best part. We're living through this massive shift in how we entertain ourselves. It's pretty exciting to be a part of it, wouldn't you say?
Totally agree. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the streaming wars. Hope you enjoyed the journey. Big thanks to you for joining us. And as always, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep on streaming.